Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. It's about 5:30, so I'm already late. I apologize for being late, you guys. So, okay, let's get started with this recap of the week and study session. Don't forget, y'all, to if you have some questions, put them in the study time chat, or you can unmute and interrupt me if you have a question. Don't be shy. I don't bite. Y'all know that. But anyway, so I wanted to start off with SPY and just to give a brief overall view of the market. Um, as we can see, the 212 up is still in force, but we have hit our target here. So, we kind of knew that we were reaching some type of exhaustion. But where we are now is possibly coming back down. We have to see what it looks like or what it does. We have a shooter on the week and a possible PMG. This shooter is wonderful, and we have this little fair value gap here. But we know how the market is. We really do. But I am anticipating that this shooter is going to go in force and that we will, see some correction down here next week. But y'all know I'm always ready for anything. I was looking for this touch, and it's so beautiful how it actually touched it on the nose. It's touched that 200. I've been talking about this 200 for a while. I was saying that would be the next target for all of this upside, would be to hit the 200, and then I would expect that we would be exhausted from there. Y'all know I'm still, for the most part, macro bearish, but I do understand that we are out of what's technically bear territory. So, I'm ready for, if it decides it wants to be bullish, to go that way. But in order to do that, I need to see it break through here, hold this as support, maybe even trade in this range for a little while, and then keep going. But as you can see, it didn't even break it before it rejected. So, it is set up here to do a 1-2-2 rev strat. So we can be ready for that. But I am anticipating that we're going to try to go for these gaps. We got a gap here at 413, and then we got a gap here at 380. But keep in mind, we had gaps here that took a while to fill. This one didn't get filled 27th of July. Yeah, that was 7 weeks before that one got filled. So one thing with SPY is it, may not always fill those gaps right away, or it may take time, and it may ignore those gaps as well. So just something I wanted to keep on y'all radar. Then, of course, QQQ, because that's tech. It's the same thing, except it had a little less strength to make it up here to this 200. It made it to the 200 EMA, but not the 200 SMA, which is, for me, the bullish sign. So, again, look at this on the month. On the month, we're still green on the month, but on the week, we also have a shooter. And, it's a pretty strong shooter. So I can expect that we can correct down here. Also, I like to point out sometimes if you have an outside bar that triggers, but it doesn't have enough time to complete, or it doesn't complete, sometimes you can look for it to just finish it, make it a compound 2, or it won't be a 3, but it will at least finish this move of correction, this corrective activity. So, yeah, so same thing with that. It could set up for a rev strat, but it could also continue because we have that gap. 320, I think that's the only one on Qs. Yeah. So that's it, basically. I talk about these on the pre-market movers on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I try to give a general view, so I wanted to do that for y'all too. So, okay. I want to go through the recap of last week and some tickers. some just giving some suggestions on some things that I pointed or I noticed. I made a video, it's on my YouTube, about using the Strat to do covered calls. So I wanted to use Jamia as an example because if you have 100 shares of something and you know your stock, then it's easy money. It's weekly money. It's another strategy that you should definitely add to your options belt if you're doing, you are doing options. So one thing I want you to notice about Jamia is every time it runs up, it goes back down. It runs up, it goes back down. Like, it has its pops, but then it just goes right back down. It has not held its gains for a while. And I was telling y'all last week, the earnings was better than expected. They're finally profitable. I still believe in this company, which is why I'm holding the shares. Like, this is a long-term investment for me. But part of the reason that I also invested in this was so that I could sell covered calls because it has this pattern. So I did a covered call on this after I played last week. I told y'all how I played this run up, but I was looking for the reversal to sell the covered call on my shares. And so this was Monday, and I got in on Monday at the end of the day with this shooter, and my entry was just a little bit too early. As you could see, Tuesday it took off, but that's where it topped out. And even though I was down in my position, I know my stock, so I held it. And one thing I want to point out with covered calls is that what works against you with normal calls is theta, but with covered calls, that works in your favor. So if you hold it and just know that it's going to go down, and give it the time to just work that theta all week, then you will be able to keep all the premium. So because I got in here, I didn't get my max premium. I think I missed out on like 10 or 15 more dollars. But it did work out for me. And then I sold it here because I only had like $3 left on it. And I honestly wanted to roll it over because I knew it was going to keep coming down. For one, we have this gap. And I didn't want to hold it for this whole day, because if you only have $3 left in your contract, just buy it back. Like, you can roll it over to the next strike down and take advantage of another $15, whatever that is, that profit is. So hopefully that makes sense with the cover calls and using the Strat. And then the next one is Charge Point. It's kind of the same thing. We were pretty exhausted, but because I knew that the market was going into kind of a little correction mode, I decided to also sell shares against my Charge Point shares, or my family Charge Point shares. So when we did this 2 up and 2 down, I got in here and I did the covered call to here. Same thing, I took out my profit and then I rolled it over for here. And what I did was, when I bought this contract, I bought this week, but when I rolled it over here, I bought for next week. And I'm targeting this gap, either one of these, whichever one, it doesn't matter, because you get the premium up front and you do want the max profit. But when you get to like 70-80%, you can go ahead and just exit the position and roll it over if it's still good. So yeah, so that's why I'm actually still in this covered call. And what I did was, when I rolled it over here, I bought the strike 1650, that it wouldn't stay above 1650 by next week. So consequently, if anybody wonders, if it 2 up and went against me, I could just buy it back, or just hold it and see if it still comes down to fill the gap, and then just keep all that profit, the premium that I collected on Friday. So BA was another one. Just a quick point out how it touched the 200 and reversed. So just like how I was doing with SPY, you can look at this 200 as a magnet. It's actually the 200 EMA. But I have both of them up there for that very reason, because they both make a difference. This one is of course, a closer moving average, but this one is the macro view. And y'all know I look at macro, so I look for it to possibly go towards that. If it were to break here, that would be my next target. Um, so yeah, so just wanted to show that did that. So far, we had looked at last week. It's another one. I actually missed this. No, I only have 50 shares of so far, so I couldn't sell a covered call on it. But I also missed the put, because I mentioned that last week at our study session that it had this inside week, and I was looking for it to do that, and it did it. So it helps sometimes when you know a stock, or if you have shares of a stock, to see how it moves and know what it does. And then you can use other strategies. I am still doing like covered calls and cash secured puts, but there are other ones like straddles and debit spreads and credit spreads, especially around earnings, that are really beneficial. So I just kind of wanted to put that on your radar. So another one we had talked about was Dash. And so I wanted to show y'all something with Dash. We're going to use Dash as a broadening formation example. So I'm going to start on the week. Draw these. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted to draw. These down here. Alright, so say you were charting this when we called it out. Wait, why did that? Yes, because we're in this range right here. So this is why I'm using this one. Right, because we looked at it this week. So yeah, we would have used that. So doing that on the week, we see it's like, well, this was last week. We see it's like sort of to the top. We would have to see kind of what it does, but we were looking at it. Well, Kiki was looking at it for puts. I was actually looking at it for either direction, but Kiki already knew which way it was going to go. So we look at this on the day. So we looked at it here, right? You would have drawn, is this one? Yes, it's barely. So we draw that, right? And then this is a Didi style right here, where she helps you draw channels. This is what I do actually when I really chart something out. I usually remove these or show y'all, excuse the noise, show y'all blank ones. But when I actually go and chart it to play it, these are all the lines that I draw. So I start with the week in that range. I may draw more if it moves outside of it. But then I go down to the day, and then I'll go down to the 4 hour. And kind of see where it is. So we were looking here. And let's see. So visually that may look like a lot of lines, but when you zoom out, I feel like this really tells you what's going on with the chart. You see the ranges that it's in. Now I didn't draw all of them back here, but I'm trying to really show you if you had just drawn this area right here. You zoom out still to kind of see what's going on. Okay, we got a double top here. We have a downtrend here that it has not broken. When we talked about it over the weekend, it was here. So when we opened up on Monday, on Tuesday, that 8 crossed. We had the 2, no, this was a double, it wasn't actionable, but we had the 2. But within it, we had the 1 and the shooter closing under these 8, the 8 and the 20, and this crossed. So at the bottom of the broadening formation, that was a bit, you had to decide, we'll see if it would work, which way it was going to go. But as you see, it broke right through. So if you draw I just wanted to give an example of if you draw the broadening formations, how, price does come there. And, yeah, I'm looking back on it, but this is how I would have drawn it on this day. Actually, from here, I probably would have. Is this one? No, that's not a lower low. Because this hadn't happened yet. So, yeah. That's just would have been support for me, though. So, honestly, when that broke there, that was your entry on this day. And then the shooter here would keep you in the position, targeting this gap. And see, it broke through the broadening formation. Boom. Another thing I want to point out is sometimes when it breaks through the broadening formation and it makes that resistance, that's something you wouldn't want to know about. So, yeah. Also, the trigger, I have too many lines on it now, so it's hard to see, but I think it was right here. 70 to 66, yeah. So yeah, if you didn't even go back to the 4 hour, if you did not even get in here, could have still got in here on this day, on this trigger, for that ride down, for the weekly trigger. So yeah, that was just a little lesson on broadening formations. I actually, if it's a day trade, I will go down even further to the 1 hour and draw the small ones there, because they do help as well. And then sometimes I do it on the 15. But look at that. How it broke through, then made that a resistance. Could break back up, but could also come back down. So yeah, broad informations matter. I'm briefly going to talk about CCL. Oh, wrong thing. So it briefly broke above here, but it didn't hold. And I had posted in there that I was looking at this for the month swing if it could hold, and it didn't. DAL actually has broke above, but it couldn't hold. So what I really wanted to point out with both of these, and you can kind of see the CCL and DAL, that Wednesday was the turnaround day, really. So you know how we talk about Tuesday, turnaround Tuesday? I call Wednesdays Wipeout Wednesdays, because even though I think this was the day that I posted about it, because I was looking at it here and it still had strength, it still reversed on Wednesday. So I do no trade Mondays as far as swings. Tuesdays, I may sometimes enter a position, but I really think that Wednesdays are probably the best days to know for sure what direction or when to swing, because this was just not a good entry for that. So, and it didn't, actually it filled this gap here, barely, and reversed. So it came back down and filled this gap. All right, so anyway, Lucid. To talk about Lucid, so what I did want to point out with Lucid, on what I saw, for this swing to have worked. Actually, by the way, this is looking like it's going to 122 rev strat on the month, but it needed to break this 1973. And Monday, it could have been, I think, a day trade, because it did, come out Monday, but it didn't have enough strength, especially to break these lines. Like, that was something, actually, let me see. Yeah, we open here. So yeah, it could have been a day trade, or even an overnight swing, it still could have. But as far as it being long term, it was one of those things, again, just like CCL and DAL. Waiting till Wednesday probably was better. Not even Tuesday, but Wednesday, because Tuesday it was no. And then it was a rug pull, and then it was a rug pull on Friday as well. So this week, I think swinging wasn't really good until Wednesday, unless you swung from Monday to Tuesday. And then I think it was the same thing with DBX. Yep. Well, actually, what I wanted to talk about with this was when we talked about this last week, Shay said she was already in it, but we were looking at it and we were looking for it to correct or some corrective activity. So I just wanted to point out that we did get that, and it's sitting right here at the 200. So just kind of have to see. This right now, it looks like it's trying to turn, but the month is still, well, that's only $1. So I have to watch that, actually. And it's after inside bar. We'll get to that, though, because actually I have a few stocks that look like that, where they look like they reverse. Why am I on them? My bad, y'all. Okay, so Walmart is another topic I wanted to show real quick, because Kiki asked, we were talking about this in the market chat, and I wanted to show this to you guys. So there's a pattern called the H pattern that I want you guys to recognize. I learned it and I never could unlearn it. In strat terms, it's just a TTO. But this right here, this H, and it may not always be perfect, just like the M isn't always perfect, or the W isn't always, whoops, what'd I do? I did something. Oh, just like the W isn't always perfect. That's what, I don't know what I just did. The H may not be perfect. So it's still made an H, it's just like that. So when I got into Walmart, I bought next week's contracts. So I actually was able to hold through all of this because the theta didn't eat me up. I feel like lately on Fridays especially, this right here is just eating up theta. So you got to take your money, maybe switch sides and then switch sides again, or just take your money and run. Or you have to buy next week to allow it to correct a little bit and then keep going in the direction that you think it's going to go. I still feel like it's going to go. So, yeah. And then it's a quick update on ZOM because we've been watching energy. It's still kind of tight. Just barely on the week. Made it on the month. Still not doing much of nothing. But CVX has a inside week, if I'm not mistaken. Triple inside week. So not actionable on the strat, but we know, I mean, it's a triple inside week. Don't know if y'all do those type of patterns, but I mean, look at this. This 8, I believe, crossed. Yep. So we're looking for a breakout in one direction or the other. So, yeah. And then last thing I wanted to show y'all was Warner Brothers Discovery. I have never played this ticker, but I just wanted to show y'all something. First of all, on my Webull, I don't have all this, so I'm a little confused on that. But I do know that this has sort of double bottomed on its 52-week low. This is Warner Brothers Discovery. Y'all know them. They do HBO Max though. So I don't know if you know, HBO Max just cut like a whole bunch of streaming episodes in an effort to cut costs for their investors. I saw this on TikTok, y'all, and it sent me down a rabbit hole because usually when a company does that, it's good for investors and because, you know, they'll become more profitable. Warner Brothers Discovery is not profitable right now, which is probably why they've been beat down, but they have been beat down, so that's something to keep in mind. Number 2, Kramer said it's a piece of crap stock. So y'all know inverse Kramer. So I just wanted to point out this hammer on the week. Oh, the third thing, Game of Thrones, the new one comes out on Sunday or tomorrow. So if there's any type of reaction, this is a cheapie. If you wanted to catch this fair value gap up, you know, this 2 up hammer. Everything else was red on Friday, but this was green. So, and there's a gap there. So, just wanted to kind of put that on your radar. Okay, and then wanted to show y'all these 50% rules because y'all know how I am. I love those. Baba is still in force on the quarter. So, Shop has triggered the 50% with a nice shooter on the month. Moderna and Z. We were watching MRK for it to trigger, and it did trigger. This thing moves slow though, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. It's like MU sometimes. It's really like molasses, but if you decided to play this, it's still good. It's a nice hammer. You got to give that time. I don't care if it's $3, I would give it time. I would give it at least September contracts. And then BMY. Just another one which is a really nice hammer. Okay, and then I'm going to go through this list and then I'll be done. And Kiki could go. But I just wanted to talk about some of these monthly setups that we talked about last week and how they've done. So, we already talked about Delta, how it did not do well. It looks like it's coming back in. So, things we want to know about. JP Morgan, same thing. I already talked about CVX. Oh, actually, I didn't talk about it on the month, though. But, we still know it's still inside. It's not doing anything. COP is still in force. So that's still good. AMD is starting to come back. So, the outside quarter, I believe, it's at 93. So, yeah. It's close to maybe not being in force anymore. We'll have to see. And then Win, again, coming back in. Barely hit that target. So, just, things we want to watch. A lot of times when you're swinging stuff, you end up watching things for a long time. You may want to see how it moves first, or, you do want to get a good entry. So it may trigger, but it may come back in. So you want to watch for that. I've actually been watching Docu for a while now, and it's just been like, you could be day trades, but I probably could have got in here and swung it. But I haven't been paying enough attention to it. I'm not going to lie. But yeah. So that's really it. I think I had, I think that's all I had. So now, y'all know I just get to talking. Let me go check to see if there's any questions. Kiki, you good, sis? Can you hear me? Oh, she may be busy. Let me see. All right. I'll read you some questions. Shay said that she can't tune in. Okay, cool. Imani said most of the people here know how to use the strat, but will you kind of go over it? I understand the scenarios, but after that I'm kind of lost. I do covered calls, so you really piqued my interest, and I've started looking at METV leaps because of the metaverse push. I wanted to use the strat like you're doing to know to enter and exit my trades. Okay, so, all right, let's go over the strat. All right, so briefly, we're going to talk about the candles, introduction to the candles. The strat is based on price action. So we believe that there's only 3 ways that price can move, and we have a nice example right here. So it's a series of 1s, 2s, and 3s. A 1 bar is an inside bar. That means that this bar, the open, the close, and both wicks stayed inside its previous bar. So that's a 1. A 2 means that it took out one side or the other of the previous bar. In this case, this was a 2 up because it took this side out. So this is a directional bar. Inside we call consolidations. 2s we call directional bars. A 3 which we essentially calls, these make broadening formations, are when you take out one side and then reverse, go halfway through the previous candle, and then take out the other side. That makes the 3-bar. And the 50% rule that Sarah does is based on catching this. Once it's done this, taking out this high and caught this 50% of this candle, and continuing out. So basically that's how the numbers go. How you would use that, let me see. METV. Alright, I've actually never played this or looked at it, so let me look at this. It's been pretty beat down already. Okay, so how I would play this is with this rejection, because we have the 2-1-2 up. We hit these two targets, barely smack that, but I would definitely play that reversal. So looking on a week's time frame, yeah, it would be this 2 down. So on the day, now if you know how this stock moves, it looks like it does a Jamia though. Yeah, it looks like you can consistently play covered calls on this. You would look for this 2-1-2 reversal. No, that's a 2-1. That's a 1-2-2. This 1-2-2 ref strat. So you had your shooter here, hammer counting shooter, but then you had a doji of indecision. So then you had the 1-2-2 ref strat, and you could have played your covered call down from there. Your target on that 940. Yes, I would have targeted the low of the last week's candle, which would have been this 940 right here. So that's how you could have played that, and just stay in your trade based on maybe how it's doing on the 4-hour, because you can always get back in and roll it over to the next week if it's still good. So yeah, that's how I would use the strat. Basically, I'm not sure if you heard how I did Jamia and charge point, but yeah, I would use the strat with those candles too. Now, one thing I did learn with the 2s and the colored candles being red and green, but I've read that it doesn't really matter. So I think it's more about the candle type, that this is a shooter, but then you have the hammer. So, that could have been corrective activity, whatever. But yeah, hopefully that explained it. I have a whole guide to the strat that I did, and I could work with you, I guess, a little later if you needed some more help on that. So let's see. Let me know if you have any more questions though. So when you swing, do you enter triggers on daily, weekly, or monthly? So it depends on the swing. If I am doing a monthly swing, I look for the monthly trigger, and I always find my entries on smaller time frames, but I'm still looking for that monthly trigger. And with monthlies, I like to let them go a little bit. I really don't have to be the first person in a trade, especially lately. I've been sitting on my hands a lot. So same thing with weekly. I need a weekly trigger. So if I was playing this 3-1-2, I'm looking for the trigger above 866, which on the day, oh shoot, let me see what day that was. July 11th. So the July 11th. So how that would have looked here. That hammer right there. Because you've got your corrective activity here. So I'm just giving an example. I would have to look more into this, but like if I wait, hold on, let me double check because it's 866. No, it didn't. So it probably would have been around here that I would have gotten in on the 19th. Yep, so some probably on this some of this corrective activity. And then this could have been swung for like 3 days. And depending on, where your stop was at, you may have gotten stopped out there. Or if not, you could have carried it. So yeah, I try to wait for the weekly signals. Could have gotten in here. This would have been an early entry, but it wasn't based off of the signal that I'm using. So if I'm using a 312 on the week, yeah, you can get in early, but it's not necessarily in force if you didn't wait for it to actually break the one, if that makes sense. So it has to break that for me to get in for a weekly signal. But also, sometimes I look at stuff for swings and it ends up being intraday plays. I don't swing it. I might have got it here and swung it there and then brought it here and then swung it there. So, yeah. So, okay. That's all I got. What's up, Kiki? You ready, sis?
Sorry, I'm here.
Oh, you good.
What we up to? I've been listening.
Nothing. Just
Next topic.
anything you wanted to add or talk about. I get to talking,
Um,
so.
we could go over Dash because I feel like Dash I think was posted in my private plays and it was probably one of the best plays of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm not the best stratter or however you want to say it. You know, let's look at the 4 hour because that's where I really found my position. Yeah, so you see, we have actually could have gotten from last week actually. I just noticed that you got the 2 up, the red 2 up. Well, that's a 3 actually.
Oh, there's 3 and the
Yep.
shooter. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Could have gotten from there.
3, 2. Yep.
Um, but I noticed the 2-1-2 in the cross of the EMAs. So you got the 2, and then you got the double inside 4 hour bars, and then you got the 2 to bring it under the EMAs.
Right.
And then nothing but 2. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So that's where I noticed the play I was anticipating that the EMAs was going to cross, because we also had the MACD cross as well. So it was a lot of bearish indicators coming in, like confluence between the indicators, the MACD, and the Strat. And I think entry was on Tuesday. If you didn't get in from last week, I think that was Tuesday.
Yep, it was. This breakdown.
Tuesday. And depending on the strike, also too, I think on the week too, I think it was a 2-1-2 on the week.
Yep.
Yeah. So you had consistencies across multiple time frames.
There we go. Yep.
Yep, 2-1-2 on the week. I think you had a 2-1-2 on the day too to trigger the week as well.
Yeah. Yep. That was beautiful.
Yeah, and then the 2-1-2. Yep, on the 4 hour.
I didn't even see that on the day. I must have missed it.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
I just noticed that.
That was like,
And also,
yeah,
it was
and
like
neither one of
perfect.
us
Like
paid it
everything,
right.
like it was the most perfect play.
It was. And you know how much I love inside bars and 2-1-2s, and that one definitely paid. And just target that gap and then keep going.
Right. And um, also trade off the EMA. So I knew that the top was, I think, around like $80. So if you trade off the EMAs, not everybody does, but I do. And everyone knows that the EMA is supposed to be support and resistance. So I knew that the 20 EMA would be resistance for Dash, which is around like $80. So I was waiting to see if it was going to break $80. And once it didn't break with strength, and I saw the 2-1-2 on multiple time frames, I was like, yeah, this is a good put play. And then I'm running like at least like 400%, depending on when you got in, at least 400%, I think. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
really, really good play.
Yeah, it really was.
What else? Let me
Yes.
see. What else did I call out? Um,
You did well. I already talked about BA. I know you called that out, but it was
yeah, it took a
Uber.
while for it to, like, it took till Friday, I think, to actually really make a decent move. So you would have needed more time on it for me personally.
Right. BA, McDonald's, and V. I think you just needed more time.
Yeah.
But Uber was a great play.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Uber was really. I got shaken out of Uber. I was in Uber and I got shaken out, I think, on Tuesday. Kind of ran up with the market towards the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, maybe it's doing a reversal, maybe it's not ready to tank. But eventually,
It
I think the
tanked.
following day it did.
Mm-hmm.
And I had sold my puts. I had a whole bunch of puts, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting out. And I was really upset. I never got back in, but it pretty much filled the gap. I was really at the gap, pretty much. So I was playing
Oh
off
no,
the gap.
it
And it
still
was
hasn't moved.
also
I think I
another
said.
person in another group that we were in told us about Bollinger Man. So I was like, it's outside of the band. The RSI is really high on the 4 hour and the daily. Um, and you had the MACD cross on the 4 hour. Also, I believe the day as well. Yep,
Oh
there you
yeah,
go.
it sure did.
So I'm like, all right, it's definitely going off. Then you got the,
See,
yeah,
see the support
a little bit
here,
of
and then it broke.
consolidation. Yeah, it was riding it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, green is what? What EMA is that? Or
Oh, that's the 8.
that's 8? Okay. It was right. It's pretty much riding the 8. It
Mm-hmm.
was for a little bit. Yep.
And then it finally broke that support, and then now they're actually crossing. So you know.
It might still have room to fall some more because it's still
Mm-hmm.
really overbought.
Look at how
But
tight this inside. This is actually a great play for Monday, y'all. Just because Uber is like really cheap on Mondays. But look at this 4 hour. I mean, it can go either way, and it's tight. Y'all know I love that. So if it does break, if we don't gap down now, because lately we've been trying to gap, but if it does break, you can target more downside, or if it decides it wants to correct, we got some space up here to go. So.
right, it's still a really good play. You can
Mhm.
still get into it. And that play ran, I think, like 400% at least. I think I posted it. You guys know I posted it. It ran,
Yep.
yeah, like $25 to like 200 and something dollars. It's crazy. And yeah, just got shaken out, never got back in. What else? I'm in McDonald's for next week, so hopefully I don't get clapped. But let's pull that up.
Yeah.
So I'm trading against time frame continuity, which you should never do. That's one of the rules. But I'm expecting some correction. I feel like it's exhausted. I think the all-time high is $268 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And
271.
I'm playing the correction, and I feel like it's a little bit exhausted, and there's some sort of correction that's going to happen. Fingers crossed. Can we go down to I love the 4 hours. That's how I found my entries on the 4 hour. The broad
Yeah,
information.
you
Yeah,
was.
I gotta draw that.
I'm on the drone.
Yeah, draw it for me, please. Let me see. All right, make sure I put that on my chart.
I mean, I don't see any reason why. No, we do know that broad informations do broaden, like
Right.
but I don't see any reason why we can't. Now, the only thing is, it's used this as support for the most part for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So
A long time.
ever since it broke above it, it's basically made support there. So, but I can see
Mm-hmm.
this.
Got an inside bar.
Yep.
So hopefully
Gotcha.
Monday we get the two down, and it's a continuation, but that just depends on the market.
All right. Well, you talked about this last week actually as well. So yeah, I know
Mhm.
sometimes just swinging is about watching something for a while. So been
And I'm
watching
not
it.
a swimmer, so I'm really nervous.
I know, but yeah, I mean that looks good for exhaustion to me. Yeah.
All right. So that's my one play for next week. I don't suggest anybody get into it with me. Just because I'm trading against time frame continuity, but
And
yeah, let me pull it up.
watch
Let
you
me
post
flip that up.
160% next week.
I'm already at 40% on it.
Yes.
And hopefully it stays that way. Let me see. I was hoping for a tweezer pattern. It looked like it was forming a tweezer pattern. That's why I really got into it. But then it kind of, bounced a little bit, so it wasn't really a full tweezer.
Now I know most patterns, but I don't really. What is a tweezer? Is that like a doji? What's that? What is that?
So it was the combination of either red and green or green and red. So it depends. So if it's at the bottom, yeah, Google it. I'm not good at explaining the patterns, but
Okay.
it's Google tweezer pattern, and yeah, it's one of my favorite patterns.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I like that.
Also, too, it's pretty much riding support. Like, it hasn't really broke out. Like, it's pretty much trading sideways.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting it to
Break.
make a move.
Well, the last.
Hopefully not move.
Yeah, it may do like what it did last time. It,
And the good thing about McDonald's, when it starts to fall, it falls. So
right. Just
that's
like.
why I love playing it.
And when you
Once it
had a
starts
couple
to
weeks on
trigger,
a
that's
high.
it. It's like a free fall. And then it bounces and runs. So,
Yeah, so that's big. The 4 hour maybe target if it breaks through here though. That's the only thing.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looks good.
Oh, now I was up 40%. Now I'm up only 10%. That sucks. All right. Let's not talk about that.
That was the little run up at the end of the day. I think I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was saying that little run up at the end of the day was just I think that was just a TTO. Like
Mm.
that was just, cuz you see it rejected right there. So I guess we'll have to see, but yeah, I'm thinking this is good. And then we made a lower low on this last little run up,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, should be good. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let me check the chat again. Does anybody have anything they want us to look at? Any other questions? Oh, wait, I don't want to do that.
Anyone have any stocks that they're looking at for next week? Any?
I see Auntie is unmuted, but I can't hear you. I don't know why I can't hear
But I
you.
could say she's unmuted. Oh, she might have to change the settings in her phone or something like that. Like maybe you won't allow like the settings for Discord particularly. She might have to just go into the settings and change it because she is unmuted, but we can't hear her. She might not have. She has to allow the mic. She has to allow Discord to access her mic.
Right. So it may be
Yeah.
both. If you're on your computer or on your phone, you might have to actually grant it access.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what just happened?
Hey, it's Liv.
Hey!
I was trying not to talk.
Oh no, girl, interrupt us.
We
You
want you
good?
to talk. Yeah, we want ready
Yes,
to have some
please.
input, suggestions. You'll hear to learn from each other.
Yes.
So I did have a question, right? I was looking at Spy, and one of the things I noticed is Spy doesn't have a lot of outside bars. And I can't remember because this was like last week, and maybe it was on like the 30 that I was looking at. But I was trying to find like some outside bars so I could do my broad informations. And I know you don't have to do broad information off of just the outside bar, but I guess the question is, if you don't have the outside bars, how do you go about, like, what's the best way to go about drawing your broad information? Because
So
most of the time I'll just take it from like whatever I can eyeball and it looks like it was the previous high,
right.
then I'll take it from there. But then for the low part, like I usually go to a different bar or a different candle. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does. So, I mean, I'm trying to get better at explaining, but so the broad informations are a series of higher highs and lower lows. So it doesn't have to be a 3. It can be a
okay.
2. Like, so for instance, looking at this chart, how I would draw it, I like to draw them in the ranges. So this right here is a range. This right here is a range. This right here is a range. So what I would
Right.
do
Yep.
is I would take this lower low to that higher high, which is that 2. It's not the 3 actually, it's the 2. And then probably do, honestly, this is that same range. I would take that there because that this is the same, this is the range that it's in. So I would
Mm-hmm.
take this, well actually no, it's this one, that one, and that. I think that's potato, which one you choose, but basically the lower low from this range to that lower low. And then I would draw it even smaller in here. If I actually, I don't see one in here. Wow. Yeah. But I don't draw a whole lot of them. But as you can see, when I drew this one, it made a
Mm-hmm.
resistance for that. So then I would come over here and draw this one. And like you said, there's no 2s there. But I do have a higher high here. And then I have a lower low there. So even though it's not a 3, it's still the fact that it's a broadening formation. It's that megaphone where it's touched. You know, we can assume it may come back up here and then it may come do that. But yeah, so that's how I would draw that. I actually, because of Dee, draw those downtrends too. So I'd be looking at that. I feel like there's another range here. My eyes. So yeah, it seems like a lot, but it's not always on the 3. So it's still, you know, it still works. So you don't always have to look for a 3. You just look for basically that lower low, whichever candle it is. I think that 3s, if you did want to get like really particular, yes, you can
Mm-hmm.
draw every 3. I think that's too much. I see how it helps, but I can't.
Yeah, I like to keep my chart as like clean as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But then like going back to the play that I was in, since I was playing off of the 30, like I did drop down to the 15 to keep an eye on things. But I wouldn't even think to go down to the 5 and draw the broad information from the 5. I know it makes sense, but in that case, if and I hope I say his name right, Figo.
You know
Like
what? I
if
think
he
it's
didn't
Figo.
mention
His name is Fidel, so I'm thinking it's Figo.
Alright. So if he didn't mention the broad information that Spy had just touched on, like from the lower end, like I probably would have stopped out of my play.
What day was that on? That was on, wasn't that Monday?
Was it Monday? I don't know. No, I feel like it might have been either Wednesday or Thursday. And the only reason why I say that is because Monday I was focused on Lucid. So it might have been like Wednesday or Thursday that it was, but it was. I mean, it was a valid point, and luckily, he just threw that out there.
Remind me, were you were in puts or calls?
I got into puts, and I was in them early. There's a
So this is
I
where
was looking at it because I was like, oh, there's a couple of fair value gaps that needed to get filled down below.
here.
And Spy has started to come down. But then it hit a 5 minute broad information, and it literally touched at the bottom of it, and then it started to reverse. And it was a fair value gap on the 5 minute that it needed to fill. And it literally went up, filled the gap, and then turned right back around and came down. So I don't know if I got lucky on that one or what, but I feel like it could go either way.
Yeah, drawing them on the 5 is a oof. That's a
Yeah.
lot. But I mean, to me, even though all the ones that I just drew still for the most part kind of work. It may not be like mostly exact, but they still work. So when that happened, I mean, this was honestly a TTO. That's all that was. And then, so I believe, oh, wait, where we go? Where did we go? Here we go. It was Wednesday. It was this day. Yeah, so you got inputs.
I feel like I got inputs on that first 2 bar, but I could be wrong. Because I usually, I don't take the first bar or first candle down. Like, I try to see if it looks like this is the right thing, but I'm trying to remember. It's a little fuzzy.
The 2 went, okay.
I'm gonna check. I'm gonna see it. Maybe for next time, I'll have the time frame mapped out so we can see exactly. Because that was something else I was thinking about. Just like I felt like I got into the puts too early, but at the time that I got into them, it made sense to me why I was getting into them. I don't know. Well, I feel like that's the part that I keep struggling with too, is like my entries.
I never suggest getting in on anything on that first bar, only because you're not quite sure what will happen. But this was like what I would. This probably wouldn't have even been here. Once it opened and it did this 2-1-2 up and started turning red, I would have drawn the broad information then. And so I think that's why. Or maybe he saw you say he saw a fair value gap up here, or what did he see up here?
It was on the 5 minute that he saw it.
On the 5 at open. Oh, okay. Wait. It's the 17th. Man, these dates. I wish this thing just said Wednesday. Just say Wednesday. So yeah, I wouldn't have. Ooh.
I gotta see. Usually I screenshot stuff, so I'll see if I can if I have it in my gallery, and then next time maybe present it so it's a little bit clearer.
I feel like, because I remember talking to you about this, because I was saying that it was rejecting the EMAs.
Yeah, on the 15.
I hate how this thing keeps moving like that. Yes, I want to say, okay, so you may have got in early, but I feel like we were talking about it like right around here.
Yeah, when I said the first 2, I was talking about the first spread 2. So the 2-1-2, the actual
that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then it reversed on me. But see, when I get into mine, I wouldn't have gotten in until like that the very end of that red 2.
Gotcha.
Because I wait for it to fully turn into a 2, but then I always still try to, like, I use K's method, kind of like almost if you could get in at least like 15 cents after your trigger type thing.
Okay.
So I usually hesitate, and then that's why I feel like my entries sometimes are weird. But and then it kind of reversed on me. I was like, shoot.
Okay, so that would have been 10, 15. So right
Possibly.
here.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to see how he may have drawn it to answer your question, to know that was a, because I don't even see it here. Except.
Would it disappear if it got filled though? Because I was asking him about that too.
Oh, it was
And
a
he
fair
was,
value gap he was telling you about. I thought it was a bar
yeah.
information. Okay, yeah. If since it got filled, yeah, it's gone. Oh wait, do I even have that on here? Why can't I see this? Yeah, it's on. So yeah, it's gone, I guess, because it got filled. So, but yeah, maybe he saw this downtrend, and then it bounced. Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I was happy that he called it out because when I looked at the front, I was like, oh shoot, like it literally touched the broad information. But since I hadn't drawn one from the 5-minute chart, I wouldn't have seen that because from the 30, it looked like it was okay.
Yeah, like I would have. You would have got in here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, SPY was interesting last week.
It was annoying.
Caught a lot of people. There's a lot of bulls trapped up here, y'all. Just so y'all know, there's a lot of people trapped at that 428 level, so it'll be interesting to see where SPY goes next week.
Yeah, it's like there's a gap on SPY to the downside. I want to say like around 420, maybe.
It's about
I got it.
413.
There's multiple ones, so I think there's one before then.
Yeah, it's one at 380.
Yeah.
Which is the bear level that they gapped above. So, yeah. SPY is still not in a bear market until it gets back down there, if it does. So now it's interesting though because it's closed under the 8. Actually, I'm just noticing that. Just barely, but yeah. But we still have this 200 EMA, so just gotta see. I think it's gonna come for this gap.
415.
Yeah, it made, like, I was surprised by how much it dropped on Friday. To where at one point I was like, dang, is this thing ever gonna stop?
Beautiful 2-1-2 down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. I thought it was actually gonna hit 420 and it didn't, so but it could, and because Kiki, you was saying that you were thinking it might bounce at 420.
Yeah.
So you might get that. It could.
Because I feel like now most people are expecting it to continue to fall, and it might just do the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in true SPY fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of a little cautious of like playing puts.
Let's see if FinTwit is bearish, because if most of FinTwit is bearish, this thing might actually run. I swear they do that. But yeah, so if it does though, your strat on the day entry is 425, about a $3 run, and then of course we would target this 200 again and see what it does there. But yeah, again,
well, it might go 3 on Monday and then just reverse back up and just keep going up.
Yep, could gap down.
We'll do that too. So that way it traps some bears and then it just reverses back up.
Right. Oh, I could so see that. opening it up down here, and then
Mhm.
boom.
Everybody getting in, it's sinking. And nope.
Yeah, but it could also do this. Yeah, and people was expecting that here, that it might tank after that. So it's kind of in the range. We have to see, kind of see what it does. I'm excited for next week though. I really am. I'm not gonna lie. I would love for a lot of those shooters to go in force, but yeah, we're gonna take whatever the market gives us. But okay, we are at an hour, y'all. I'm about to go. Unless anybody has any more questions. Um, you know, that was for Liv. All right. Well, I guess I will talk to y'all later. Everybody enjoy their weekend, the rest of their weekend.
Thanks, you too.
All right, y'all.
Later.
Later.